What's going on, world? Your man, Mr. Mac.
And I'm Crystal Van.
This is the M+M+M show, aka the show, coming to you live and direct with a homeboy that we've both had for quite some time. Cooler than the other side of the pillow. Biracial bombshell. I don't even know if bombshell fits for guys, but I was pressed. I'm trying to get this interview out because the topic is red hot.
Halle Berry's a biracial bombshell, or you know
who's
who's my
biracial bomber
right now? And if you're out there, if you watch this show, my homegirl Autumn from P Valley, what up?
Oh yes, P Valley.
That's my biracial bombshell.
Salute to the white girl. Salute to the white girl whisperer who has come through to grace us with his presence. Homeboy, could you please state your name so people know I'm not lying?
My name is Casey Game Nakala. That's my government. If you partake in journalism, you probably know me by that name. If you're a rap fan and you might have been up at 3 a.m. around 2001 to 2006, you might know me as Mighty Casey, author of White Girls, which is featured in Wayans Brothers movie White Chicks. You know what I'm saying? Done a little here and there, you know, a little other songs. Still nothing big like White Girls, but me and Mac was hitting. We was hitting.
Oh yeah. We did business. We did business. We made waves. I'm sad to say we didn't make waves. Like on the biracial tip, on the racial tip, we definitely didn't make waves.
You was pushing me to. You were actually doing the right thing, and I was thinking, yo, the music will get me by like a dickhead.
I tried.
You did try.
I tried.
You did try. You tried very hard.
So let me get. Let me get this straight. So you were suggesting that he use his actual race and mixed racial reality to make it in this world?
Well,
that's
not
kind of relevant to somebody
like that and be more personality based in terms of the PR than just music based, which is the direction we went. And it did all right. Yeah. Obviously, nothing viral like White Girls or other thing I've done before.
Well, the reason I said it like that is because of what we're kind of about to bring up. I was like, let me get this right. Oh, we're discussing your actual biracialness.
Yes.
In order to get ahead in life.
And we discuss a woman who challenged my biracialness, and you'll see what happens to people who challenge my biracialness. They go,
or who pretend to be biracial themselves, or whatever.
Well, yeah, that her running around challenging people actually caused.
A lot of people.
She pulled that thread that unraveled her entire racial sweater. As you could say.
Glass houses should not throw stones. So if you are a non-white person, don't go at people for being half black. That's just so simple. Like,
but see, and okay, let's pull this back a little bit. We're talking about Jessica Krug, Krug.
Right.
She was recently outed as a professor.
Before she was
she outed herself before it could get to before.
She told on herself and let everybody know that she was actually a very white woman, a Jewish woman who was masquerading who was masquerading
upwardly mobile
her entire career as a Afro-Latina, as an Afro-Latina woman. Yeah. And when I say her entire career, her entire stint as a professor, she led people to believe that she was Afro-Latina in no part of white.
Right, and not just led them to believe, but like verbatim. Like in every sentence and
100%, she said. Like
100. She said, "My black and brown sisters and siblings."
Yeah.
Say that again, Casey.
Siblings?
I would have bought her. She was like, "I'm a quarter Puerto Rican. My grandfather's Puerto Rican." I'm like, "All right, you know, I'm gonna let you rock." But she tried to say 100%.
Yeah.
Now I'm 50%. You know what I'm saying? And I look black. You know what I'm saying? So what are you? If you don't, you're not half.
And there are people that don't look much like whatever race they are. Like, I mean, my whole life I've been hoping I'm something more than I am. Like, I've been hoping that I've got a drop.
As a biracial, like, honestly, I've been mistaken for Dominican. I've been mistaken for Arab. So I can see that. I've been mistaken just for light-skinned black. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Never white, but, you know, everything else.
And in reality, I mean, if we go back, aren't we all like sort of descendants of, if you will, the original?
Right.
The original. So we're all DNA connected, but the reality is your struggle in this life, your experience in this world, in this city, in this, you know, I mean, that's really what counts. Mecca always brings up. He said, if the KKK would have a problem with you, right. She could really operate within the KKK if she had wanted
to. She could be head of a clan herself if she really
Well, people don't know. Just as bad as the KKK, they had a group called COINTELPRO. And they would find like the Black Panthers and pro-black groups, and they would infiltrate these groups and start fights between them and incite them to violence. You know what I'm saying? And get information on them
from the inside.
Go out and destroy these organizations. So she's more COINTELPRO than KKK. I don't know how she fit in. I guess she did. People really wanted to believe her act like Santa Claus.
What was the name she was going under?
Yes, La Bombalera.
La Bombalera. She really went there.
La Bombalera. Es non afro-Latina.
More like La Cucaracha. More like a cockroach.
Esa poco caucasita. That's my song.
Yo, I just watched like the video clip that was included in your piece. Okay, so wait, we're doing a lot. For everybody who's just now, if you may not know, this woman, Jessica Krug, she had a back and forth with Casey. Casey sent me over the piece that he actually wrote about his interaction with this woman. I had no idea. Like I'd just been catching on to the story. I saw what it was. I was willing to just let it go, but I wanted to read a little deeper into it. And then when the homie sends me this, I'm like, okay, let me check it out. For the first few minutes reading it, I didn't realize that you wrote it. I was just reading it from the perspective of. No, I had no idea. I don't look at
I haven't been writing for a while, but I'm back with a new website called Counter. So I'm back.
I had no idea.
Radio One, we almost overlapped at Radio One, Urban Daily.
You and I have been running in the same circles for a bunch of years.
Yeah, Chuck Creekman and the other Mecca. You know what I'm saying? He's not as cool as you, but he still helped put me on a Hip Hop DX way back in the day.
Shout out to my man DJ Mac Dot. That's the homie though. Like we call each other the other me. That's my guy.
The other me.
But yeah, I didn't know it was your piece. I didn't know you were writing this from a firsthand perspective. So I'm reading it, and then when it broke into like, yo, I'm biracial. I know my fellow biracials when I see them, and this woman wasn't one. I was like, wait a minute, did Casey write this? I'll go scroll, see that you wrote it, and then I read the rest of it, and I go like click that link that you included when she was on a video call with like city council and going in on people talking about.
Also, wasn't she a professor? I don't think professor.
Yes.
Like that.
University.
First of all, F out of here and this shit and this bullshit and this.
I don't know.
F out of here. She was F-bombs every other sentence. Like there's nothing professional or believable about her. It's just baiting. Just trying to argue.
Yeah, I think some gullible white people might have believed that's what an Afro-Latina was. You know what I mean? Because they never met one. Like, she might have been able to fool them. She couldn't fool me online. I could tell by the way she was talking, by her name, by the way that she looked, that there was no way on earth she was an Afro-Latina, black, biracial. Her whole attitude was not 100% white. And there's so many wonderful white people out there that don't act like her. My mother's white. My mother helped fight against apartheid in South Africa. There's so many cool white people out there who don't have to be black to be down.
My co-host.
Be yourself. That's all black people want, for you to be down. Be yourself.
Right. Well, I mean, the term ally, I mean, it's a frustrating term because that's like, I don't want to like, labels in general are just like confusing. Because like, how does an ally act? But the point is, you do the right thing. There's right and wrong. There's like moments and you try. And if you don't do it perfectly, people understand that you were trying in general. I mean, like you don't overstep in general, but people can see if you have good intentions and if you're honestly trying to be the star or if you're trying to support a movement.
Great point. And that was the issue with her.
You know why I don't
part of a conversation, she wanted to be the center of the conversation.
Right.
It was about her, not black and brown people. She just kept on using that to be part of the conversation.
The reason why the reason why I'm not mad at the term ally, the main reason is because it's for people who don't know any better. It's a set of guidelines for somebody who may not know exactly how they should be getting down in these spaces, and therefore you fit under this title. Here's what if these are the things you like,
right?
No. If these are the things you'd like to achieve, if this is the outcome you're after, okay, then this would be the title for you. And under this title, here are some great things that you can do to actually help achieve the things that you say you want. Everything doesn't need to apply to somebody who's already living that lifestyle. In other words, if you didn't want to be called an ally, you specifically, Crystal, that's fine because you
I do. It's
hear me out. Because you already walk the walk and talk the talk. You're already doing your thing. You dig what I mean? Mm-hmm. I always feel like titles are specifically for people who are trying to find their way with a very specific way of life. A good human
being will naturally be an ally. If you're a good human being and you see something wrong, you'll do something about it. So if you're a good human being, you might be a rich white person and you see poor black people being brutalized in the streets and mass incarceration, you will do, if you are a good, decent human being, you will attempt to stop that, whether that be through voting, through donating, by putting in work yourself by a number of different ways.
Right. Physically, verbally, financially standing up for people that have a little less privilege or that you recognize are being.
See, but okay, yes. The reason why titles come into play is because what we have in 2020, more than we've had at any other time, I think, is nuance. There have been certain arguments, certain perspectives, certain lifestyles have become nuanced. And just doing the right thing from your point of view may not be enough. For instance, I have always considered myself an ally towards women. I have always thought that I was doing the right thing. There have been things brought to light that I am completely and totally ignorant on, that women want to be spoken to a certain way. Meanwhile, I thought all this time that me calling somebody darling really wasn't that big of a deal. But in the nuance of things, that's no longer cool. And now, Aziz Ansari got caught up with a woman who got mad at him because she said he ignored my nonverbal cues. Now that's new for me. I didn't know that was a thing at all. Now I'm still not sure it is a thing because a lot of women fell back on her but I use that as an example just to say nuance is now a very specific circumstance to deal with.
Right.
And titles help people navigate. Titles help people navigate nuance. Like the idea of a safe space is fairly new. So if you've always been if you've always been a white person, if you've always been a white person who has spent a lot of time amongst Black people, and now you have Black people that are honestly traumatized in the presence of white people, and they need a safe space, you doing what you do and just being crystal in all your crystalness may still be enough to trigger them. And now we have this problem happening. And you don't mean to trigger anybody because you've just been doing what you've always done.
Being around the people that
you've always been around. Right. But now, thanks to new circumstances.
90% of my friends just say the thing. They're like, well, you're not white to us. Because they actually know who I am. But looking at a white blonde woman.
Like human is black and white. Like I'm biracial, I'm mixed. And I have friends are whoever. And my white friends might be white, but they're humans. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you
but there's also people you know versus Karens. Right. Like you see what I'm saying? Like a white woman that you know and that you know wears no ill will is different than a Karen. Like, did you see the one trying to put hexes on the police and got tased for once?
I think honestly, I got a slight problem with the word Karen, having a white mother and everything. Because if people's running around saying if a Black woman might act aggressive, like, oh, she's such a Shaniqua, or if you see a Black woman fighting a roast, I'm like, that's a Shaniqua, they would be outraged. They'd be like, what?
No. We already have those. They're called Felicias. We call them Felicias.
We do that.
Goodbye, Felicia.
Yeah. White people don't. If a white person who did that, like a popular white person, like called a Black woman who was fighting or on VH1, oh, she's just a Shaniqua, he'd get it.
Yeah, putting a name for it. You know what though? To be fair,
nuances that go into it. But my thing is just why, because there's a lot of white women who is not Karens. You know what I mean?
And if your name is Karen, doesn't mean you a Karen kind of thing. It can be offensive.
Karen, you know
but I heard one that was really great, and they said, you know why we call them Karens? Because they be caring about stuff that's not their business. So if we spell it different, the idea that you put your face and your business and your opinion in things that really have nothing to do with you, and yes, it is still a name. I mean,
no community monolithic. Like you might have a somewhat high percentage of white women who might act like the ones you see on videos and do stuff. But in fact, one of the videos, the main one with the ugly woman with the shades, it was a white woman ally who was recording her, exposing her for what she was doing. So there's people on both sides. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Again, we enter the space of nuance. Like, okay, had the
putting
term,
a name on frustration turned into Karen.
Had the term Karen, and had the term Karen and had the action been something we were more familiar with in the past, right? Who's to say what would have happened to Emmett Till's killers? Because Carolyn Bryant is one of the original Karens. She pointed at him, said he did X, Y, and Z, exaggerated, made up, bold-faced lied, and got somebody killed.
And her, she's that's a very harsh whistle because she knew it was her husband and everyone who killed them. And this is my thing for any time calling the police on someone who would be Black people on Black people. Know that when you call the police, there is a chance that it could go very far left.
Right.
So, and especially if you're a white person and you're calling the police over something that is not a life or death matter, that is not.
You could be threatening the life of a black or brown person.
Music too loud, the police can come and it can go left. Someone can get hurt, someone can get killed. We don't have the same relationship with the police that white people do.
That's where right there, that's where you're going to lose them, because they refuse to believe that we don't have the same relationship with police that they do. And when we don't, when things go left, they are under the impression that it's our responsibility that things have gone left. They believe it's our fault.
Just comply.
We're not having our freedom violated, our rights violated by, No.
As many times as I've been told, me personally, why didn't you just give him your ID? As many times as I've been told that, and I've had to turn around and go, because I didn't have to, because I don't want to, because I don't give my personal information to strangers, because the Fourth freaking Amendment, like, there's tons of reasons I don't just hand out my information because somebody rolls up and says, we need your name and date of birth.
Like what that's like apartheid South Africa. Show us your papers. Prove to us that you're legitimate. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they do a lot of this stuff from a very young age to get black people in the system, get them warrants, and when they come back, their third, fourth offense. Like I got busted copping weed in Washington Heights, 2008. Something I could do legally in Los Angeles, something I could do legally in Denver. That same act, I was thrown in jail for 30 hours, had to lose my job, and meanwhile, they were fully aware that white people are smoking marijuana all over the Upper East Side, all over the LES and the Village, but they're never in those areas. They're in Washington Heights, they're in Harlem, they're in the Bronx, you know what I mean?
Oh, speaking of same crime, different reaction, or same thing, is when our dear friend Krug was making points to the city council in that video. The problem is there were moments that she was saying good things, and I was like, you ruined it all.
She's a mimic. So she's a mimic. So she was able to see all these other authentic Black Latinos and Black
making points,
and take some of their valid points and bring in a lot of extra self-hate and anti-white racism to some good points of us being in the colonial system, of us being oppressed by the NYPD, and then
but then it waters it down. My point is, the person saying it with all the other fake bold shit she was doing takes away from the fact that those messages need to get out, and that those things need to be said.
So many other people
it's just so messed up.
She ruined with her toxicity. It's not just with me. She was messing with dudes in Tinder and bashing them for having white friends. She would go in people's inbox and say, I heard you share my story, you better give me some money. Women of color don't get compensated. She's out here talking about how I'm a woman of color and I'm getting stereotyped and all sorts of stuff. All blatant lies. Like, the lies, it's crazy.
I actually have a question.
I know people, we know people who work with her, from the radio.
What?
Violated. She violated people from my old, and I treat my coworkers like family. Shout out to Kevin Clark, who I was just on the phone with. Shout out Jerry Barrow, the OG. Shout out Debbie, you know what I mean? Family, bro. Like, straight violating family out here.
So this kind of goes, we were talking, in your thing, you said that she's worse than Rachel Dolezal, which I totally agree with. Still wanted to be perceived something else, but it was maybe for different reasons, but she did more harm.
Right. I think, and Dolezal wanted to just fit in. She just wanted to have a place. Maybe she didn't feel like white America provided her with that family support structure, that cultural support structure that we have as Black people, which is
the idea that she was working for
we have faced.
And the idea that she was working for an organization that really was intended to help Black folks.
She might have done a few bad things, but this woman was manipulative. She was straight arguing with Black people. Yeah. She was trying to have famous Latino authors canceled by making lies about them. She was talking about how, you saw the other video I posted, she was talking about how Junior, if everyone remember, Junior Guzman, it was a big thing when he was murdered.
15-year-old, yeah. And it's like that it's his fault that we need to be brave and let it happen because he worked for the police.
Because he worked for the NYPD Explorers, which is crazy because she hates the cops so much. She thinks that a Black student who wants to better his life with one of the few opportunities he has and works in an after-school program stays out of trouble. She thinks he deserves to die brutally with machetes. This is a psychopath. And what would that say? What would happen to her? If she thinks that should happen to him for being informal. What should happen for her for being a fake and a fraud?
What do you think? How do you think she thought this would end? Did she think that at some point, how old is she? 40 something? I can't
38.
tell. 38. She looks black. Don't crack. She's definitely not black.
Yeah.
She looked 48.
Don't need facials. You know what I mean? So what is she? She's not biracial. She's not black.
Yeah. But anyway, so what I was gonna say is like, how did she really think it would end? Or anybody that does this sort of, I don't know, just perpetrating entire lies, like your whole life. There was somebody on what's it called, Real Housewives, that pretended she had cancer. There's those type of things. Like, how do you really expect?
I will tell you some of the crazy stuff. And to quote my man Nas, it's only so long. I'm gonna paraphrase Nas. I'm not gonna quote him. It's only so long fake Afro-Latinas can pretend. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. I'm amazed because I called her out 4 years ago. I called her out as a white woman on a Facebook thread. I pulled up a picture. Knew her name was Jess LeBar. First off, we know a lot of Latina women, right? A few Jessicas. I've never met a Latina Jessica who calls herself Jess. I've been to private school. I went to an Ivy League college. I've known a lot of white women who call themselves Jess. No Latinas.
I know one.
You know one who calls herself Jess?
She's the mother of one of my friend's kids. Mine Puerto Rican, I believe.
Jessie. I've heard
Jessie Reyes. Awesome.
Jessie, but not Jess.
Yeah.
It goes by Jessie, right? Not Jess. Latinas go by Jessie. You know what I'm saying? That's common knowledge. If you know anything about Latino culture, which you clearly didn't.
I'll tell you what cracks me up about her. The thing that like really hit me after like watching the videos. It didn't hit me before, but after peeping the video, I'll tell you something that really landed. This woman is doing her. Oh, that's adorable.
The name is Jess is a Star, so she goes by Jess. Jess. It's rare. She's Puerto Rican.
This woman who is going off in this video, what really hit home about her is when it was all said and done, she is doing her best Latina impersonation. She thinks that's what Latinas sound like. She's doing her best impersonation. Like if you've ever been around, I don't know, it's really weird. Like I've been. Say it again.
Have you ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
It's not really my show.
There's a viral clip. There's a white lady who has a very demeaning, stereotypical Latina character named Martina Martinez, and this character is just like Jess LaBamba Valera Cruz.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh God.
What's the caricature? Is it impression? It's like that's the best. It's like wankster, like the idea of being a wankster or a.
It cracks me up because you have, I mean, I've heard all kinds of jokes. Some of my homegirls joke about how gay men are doing their best black women impression, and I crack up when I see that. Right, like but it's like a caricature. It's like it's so far out. It's so exaggerated. It's almost like, wow, I don't know any women who really act like that.
Right.
And on the other side, when you see like, you know, really, really masculine lesbian women. And
doing the best impression of men
of a guy, and as a guy, sometimes I'm not gonna hold you. Sometimes I've even been offended. Like, is that what you think
we do?
That's how you think I am. Like, we're wearing the same clothes, and you're trying to catch up with the facial hair. But is that what you think? Is that how you think I get down? Because that's insulting. I'm nothing like that.
Let me shout out 2 lesbian comedians who I've been following, who's kind of helped me get a better understanding of lesbian culture and attitudes. One is Sam J. She got a Netflix special.
I saw that. I have to watch that special.
Another is Shantae Wayans from the Wayans family. She's on Tiffany Haddish's Netflix show. So, you know, and I'm here to learn. Like, I might not know about lesbians, and I learn through watching people comedy, and also through my friends. You know what I mean? Like, I might not have understood gay culture, how they act, but I might have a gay friend from college who might hit me up with some tips, and you know what I'm saying?
That's being an ally for other things too. I mean, it's like really understanding. My sister is. I learned this new term. They're trans non-binary, and it's confusing as hell to me. And I don't get it, and I don't expect to do it perfectly. I'm like, don't expect anyone to walk up and address them correctly. Right now, I know they want to be a they, not a she, and just don't give anybody hell if they don't do it quite right, because this is brand new. But it's interesting. It's interesting to know like that they don't feel like they fit into the female gender,
and you know what?
Whatever sexual organs you have, This is how you feel in your head, and I can try to respect it. Doesn't mean anyone else is going to try as hard as I am.
I mean, gender is such a big spectrum. You have masculine females, you might have effeminate males, you might have a masculine male who also might like males, you might have a real effeminate woman who might like women. It's such a large spectrum in terms of the gender and sexuality.
And finding out that there's really like actual people with...
Is let everybody cook. If you ain't robbing from no one, stealing from no one,
right.
Cook.
And give it your best shot to respect them if they ask you, like, explain how to. You're like, okay, that's how you want to be.
Hey, whatever. It's no skin off my back to call you a woman if you want.
I'm not really. Yeah, it doesn't affect me that much. It can be frustrating if somebody.
I might not believe it in my heart, but you know what I'm saying. Whatever. Hey.
Right. But also getting mad at you for not seeing what they want you to see.
Yeah,
that's when it comes in. Whoa, like Krug, like yelling at people for trying to prove her.
But see, here's where we start to enter the field of nuance. This is where becoming an ally to that specific situation takes nuance and may come with a certain set of rules. None of us on this chat right now were born with the very specifics that are being called that these new rules are called for. You know what I mean? When I was coming up, it was men, women, and that was it. You're a guy who slept with guys. You're a woman who slept with women. You're a man who slept with both. You're a woman who sleeps with both. Whatever. But that was it. That was it. Right. You could be a masculine woman. You could be a feminine man. Like, but now there are tons of terms. And if we want to make everybody comfortable, nuance comes into play. So now we're all figuring out a new way to talk to people.
Change is hard.
Right.
Change is hard. It's difficult.
Especially when you deem it unnecessary. But it's only unnecessary to the people that it's not affecting. That's where we start chopping up the line. My only problem with any of this is I've felt at times that when I've been challenged to switch my thinking around, and when I've had to take on responsibility for my words and my actions, I've come to understand that the conversation actually has to happen from both sides. It can't just be me changing. You're also going to have to give some concessions. Crystal and I got on a really, really long conversation with a feminist who was telling us about how, men have to get down different when it comes to women. We have to start speaking to them different. I was like, okay, great. Got it. Cool. No problem. Easy, understood, plain and simple. But then when we started getting more into the nuance of what she wanted from men specifically and what she expected us to give, we started clashing because my standpoint to her was, no. You ladies are going to have to start being a lot more clear. Like, if you want us to treat you this way and you expect us to behave this way, you understand that you're going to have to give up some of the, for instance, just to get this out the way.
The flirty yes, no.
Aaliyah has that song, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. You have to understand that under these new rules, that's gone. There can't be any more.
No.
Because if I'm persistent, that could be borderline harassment.
And creepy. You could be branded a creep.
Hard to get. I don't know.
Yeah. Which was my whole thing. Like, now, if this is what you want, it's now there's now a give and take. And now ladies, you don't have the
for years. All the uncomfortability, the nervousness, the getting ready for asking on a date for a number. Now women, step up. If you like a man, don't just give him a little sign, call him up.
Well, now you have to. Now you have, because he can't come out and say anything. Like, if he steps to you once, and you say no,
if he says hello, pretty, you could screen grab him like, oh, thirsty ass nigga.
It's gotten really that's what is it called? The divide and conquer. This is between races, between sexes, between financial situations, between everything. Political parties. Remember, political parties used to literally, like, the winner was the president, the loser was the vice president. They had to work together. Like, literally, divide and conquer is the greatest, worst invention or like school of thought. Literally, you separate us, and then we're at war. I mean.
And this is why I really thought Krug might be an agent, because her whole stuff was divide and conquer. Turn black people against white people. Turn black people against the cops with a blind hatred that anyone works for the cops get killed. Mm-hmm. And I'm no fan of the cops. I've been busted. I've been that. But also know that working class people from the hood, sometimes become cops. Sometimes they try and make it better. It's very hard. They're in a corrupt system. You know what I mean? Sometimes they fall into that corruption as well. But I know at least one or two decent cops. And I don't think they're the only ones. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if we would work with the police, change their mind, and have them tell their bosses, yo, we don't want to be in the hood harassing people. We want to get the murderers and the rapists, just like the hood wants us to. So stop giving us these damn quotas, have us arrest kids for smoking weed and trespassing, and give us the right funding so we can get the murderers, the pedophiles, and the rapists. And then I think the hood will be behind the police, right?
Right.
If that really was what they were going after,
bad.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After actual criminals.
Her divide and conquer was, turn black men against biracial men and women, turn black women against Latinos, turn Latino women against Latino men. She was just straight divide and conquer around every.
Well, there's some people that get, I think, addicted to conflict and addicted to friction. They've never ever experienced kumbaya. Like they really don't, and if they have, they think it's boring because they're so. I've heard that people that are like really healthy, your body rejects alcohol or processed food. But if you're really unhealthy, your body will reject spinach and broccoli because your body doesn't recognize it. And I come from like the fitness and health perspective on that one, but also mentally, if you've never seen like, a rainbow, like a happy rainbow of people like really respecting and loving each other, you don't believe it can exist. You reject any possibility of it and you make sure that it never happens.
I think she's just a psychopath because she had all the blessings in life. It's not like she had a super hard childhood. Black people made her life hard. She grew up in Richmond, Kansas City, went to the best private schools, had parents allow her to go to the best schools, get a PhD, and then she created this false narrative. Here's some crazy stuff. So people would check her, right? People would check her about her how she looks. They'd be like, yo, come on, man. Like, be honest. You're not black. Just be honest with me. And she'd be like, no, what happened was my mother was a drug addict sex worker who was raped by someone who might have been white. And that's why she was really
oh my God.
Lies about like who lies about their mother getting raped? You know what I'm saying? She was
oh my God.
Nothing was off.
Psychopath.
Oh my God. Well, and you compare that to, actual like, murder psychos like, Jeffrey Dahmer doing dishes. Have you seen that picture? People trying to like compare
that was
the 17-year-olds cleaning graffiti. And they're like, look, but he was doing this. Yeah, but he's also a murderer. Here's Jeffrey Dahmer doing dishes. Like,
it wasn't Jeffrey Dahmer. It was the other one. What? Not
like Andrew Cunanan?
Like, no. What's the one who's got a name close to yours?
John Wayne Gacy.
Yes, it was John Wayne Gacy doing it.
He was a clown. He dressed up as a clown. He was crazy.
Yeah.
So people doing normal things or having like their mom loved them. Of course they did. Like she didn't know they were psychopaths.
Your mothers have unconditional love, yo. You think of the worst killer, most evil human being in the world, there's a good chance that his mother loves him, unfortunately.
His mother's going to be in the front row of the court, like hoping that her baby doesn't get the needle.
Right.
No, even if she knows he did it, she's going to be on some, look, just don't kill him.
Just not the needle. Just not the needle.
Could you just send him to prison? I know he's sick. Just give him someplace where I can come visit him. Just make it close to my house. Like, I know he's done all these things, but if you could just please. Here's my question.
And the way the court system works, a lot of white mothers get that.
Here's my question for Casey, because Crystal brought it up, and I wanted to expound on this. She said, "What do you think she thought the end goal would be in this entire thing?"
I honestly think she thought she was delusional enough that she thought she would become the Che Guevara of the United States and lead a revolution and be the boss. She really thought she deserved like the Pulitzer Prize. She really thought she was smarter and better than all the real black scholars. She thought she was better at being black than black people were being a black.
So she's a narcissist.
Super narcissist. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even know if she had an end goal because she was just so delusional. Like, imagine you're a troll, right? So you might troll and pretend to be someone else online. She took trolling and made it a persona. Like, she's almost like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like, she's just doing this stuff to start beef, get reactions. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't you ever think that like somebody in your family was gonna be like, yeah, that's my sister, she's not?
They did. They didn't even know. They said she didn't even show up to her own mother's funeral because she was too busy faking being black.
That's the other thing. Like you have to imagine people who were living the lifestyle that she had available to her don't come in these circles. They're not coming around city council meetings and arguing like that.
Safari. Like me, I live in a nice word. I go into the safari in the jungle. I'm behind the car. I can see the lions, but I don't really got to be out with the lions. So she knew, as being a white woman or whatever, she could be in the Bronx, and no one's going to mess with her in the Bronx and be in these places. But at the end of the day, she wasn't going to have to face the pains and the pressures of really being black because she could always be whitelist like she did. Right. If the person ever got touched, she's like, oh, officer, what do you mean?
She Miley Cyrus is completely out of the game and talk about, no, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to country, start singing pop music. No more twerking for me. I'm out.
And that's the thing. Like a white person can like, even
that's white privilege. That's white privilege.
Makeup, I would have to go real ill.
The line for real.
I would have to go crazy makeup, crazy hair, even to have someone think I might be like a quarter black. You know what I'm saying? But a white person, just get a tan, curl up your hair. You know what I mean? Get a butt job if you're deficient in that area. You know what I'm saying?
If you're deficient in that area.
You know what, Casey? I got another one for you. I've been witnessing this lately, but I've wanted to ask somebody else. And now I have a woman and I have a biracial man on the line. I think this is a good place to ask this question. I posted this thing on my Instagram page about white privilege and how it doesn't mean your life won't be difficult or hard or like almost impossible. It just means 9 times out of 10 your color won't be the cause for your difficulties, right?
Right.
That was it. I had over 1,000 comments, and a good chunk of them were white people coming through to let me know how their life has been hard because they were white. And they were overlooking their white privilege, seeking to negate the white privilege. Hold on. Here's the question. Do you think why is it you think that these specific people want to be victims so bad? Like they so want to be able to say, me too, and I have it hard too. And why do you think they want to be victims and want to be oppressed so badly? That's my main
misery
question.
Loves company.
If you look at Jessica Krug, that was the whole thing. She crafted a story of how she grew up in the South Bronx, and there was police brutality of her brother, and she grew up around from Amadou Diallo, and she had these drug addicted parents who were raped, and she created like a poverty porn Precious novel. Her character was basically Precious. You know what I'm saying? Like she created a Latina Precious character of herself, like a Tyler Perry character. And she ran with it because it was interesting for her. And her privilege made it. Like she can go back to her rich white parents, her inheritance, go back to Kansas City and be cool. But not every white person could do that. Like I think we in New York and LA, where a lot of media people is, we see most of the white people as rich. Because if you live in New York or LA, you got money, right? But there's all sorts of white people in like West Virginia, all sorts of like
Kentucky, Florida.
That's who voted for Trump because they thought that he like had their back. Poor white people are a large percentage of the South and the Midwest.
And they're the biggest backing of Trump. And yes, they did fall in the racism trap, but it's also people like Hillary Clinton who just been conning the blacks, right? Conning blacks. She didn't offer them nothing either. So they're like, fuck it. Like, why Hillary? Like, Trump wilding out. Like, I liked his show. At least fuck it.
Meanwhile, then you go find.
They just want to be like him. They want to be like him.
Right.
They don't think that he's actually. They didn't really stop to think he's not really for us. I just wish I could live like him and grab pussies and be rich and
you know what cracked me up
and have towers named after me.
You know what cracked me up about Trump support? Like when I hear them talk about him and they say, "Well, he's a businessman. I wanted him to run the country like a business." I go, number one, he's had like 5 bankruptcies. So are you sure this is the businessman you want? And number two, when those people come to me and they say, well, I regretted running for Trump. I didn't want another politician in office. I wanted a businessman. I'm like, well, that's what you got. Business is not personal. He's running it like a business. More profit, less cost, cut the fat. Fat just happened to be social programs and things that benefit you. Right. But he's essentially a businessman with no regulations. And he's now in a position.
No conscience, no.
He's now business never has a conscience. Pure business never has a conscience. Never does.
Stock market is at like 30. I thought once the corona hit, I was like, yo, the stock market's gonna crash and get on. Oh, it's wild. Like it went higher and higher. People didn't get jobs. People got poorer and poorer. But the stock market, which only a rich select people are able to invest, because most people just check to check. How are you gonna invest if you check to check? So it's only a certain amount of people making money off the stock market, while everyone else isn't even getting their stimulus checks, unemployment checks. So I think America is definitely realizing some inherent flaws in its system, and hopefully we can make some big changes.
Well, soon. That's why the stock market went up, because you had all these guys who were making all this bonus money and stimulus money, and they have stocks. They're investing in their own companies, and now things are like blowing up left, right, and center. So it looks great. It looks great. From the outside, it looks great, but it doesn't indicate what the economy is actually doing. Of course it doesn't, because this is going this way, and everybody is unemployed. Like we lost 20 million jobs, So what are we really talking about? But that when we start talking about Trump, I always point out the fact that there's only two types of people that really like him. The white people who feel like, well, I'm better than them, so at least I'm not them. Like white and Latino people, like when I see Latinos for Trump, it's always like the fairer skinned, lighter skinned Latins who want to be like considered.
The Cubans have always been Republicans. They fled Fidel Castro's regime. A lot of them were richer, paler,
and they want to keep that party going. And then it's the rich white people who automatically see the benefits, and they're like, "Yo, let's. I'm all for this. My company is thriving. All the regulations are going.
Look away from the other stuff. Yeah.
Right. I can cut down all the forests I want. I can drill for oil wherever I feel like it. Like all the regulations are off. This guy is making my life super easy. I'm all for it. But in all of this chaos, the one thing that I can't get, we went to it, but I just want to touch back on it. I don't understand if there's even a word for a fetish of being oppressed. I see
it is called misery loves company, and it's easier to be what's it called? I read this in a book about it's a female sexuality type book. But when's the last time that somebody said, "I look fabulous today"? You always hear them say, "I'm so fat." Everyone's like, "Yeah, me too. Like, I'm so ugly." Like, everyone is allowed to say that, but excellence is shunned because it's like, it's a scary thing to stand out and be okay. It's really scary. In this society, I don't know exactly why, but it's so much easier to combine, to like, what's it called? To love each other because we hate the same thing. Right? So it's misery loves company. We love being the victim because then we lump in with all the other people that are victims, and then we don't actually have to reach down and help anyone else because I need help too.
And I'm gonna get back to Krug on that. And her goal was get to unite people that hate white people, not to unite people by getting them to love black people. And she would divide black people from loving black people, trying to get black men against black women, and black people against biracial people. You know what I mean?
She just wanted to share in the misery. She wanted to share in the She wanted other people that are oppressed to like welcome her all in as being also oppressed.
Everybody wants to feel like they're oppressed, because there is, it's a good thing for a rags to riches story. Like if you're seen as you always have a silver spoon in your mouth, what have you done? But if I can come and say, my parents was drug addicts, my mother was raped, I'm from El Barrio, but now look at me, I'm a college professor. That's something. It's like, wow, you know what I mean? Right. It's a fake. It's like a Santa Claus story. It's a fake story.
Well, and you've seen. I mean, there's white guilt. There's rich guilt. There's all sorts of things. Also, once you do make it, then you have to explain that you're still a good person.
Survivor's remorse.
Right. So survivor's remorse too. So like, if you actually get up to a certain level, you have to prove that it was hard to get there. Like if Cardi B, like if we didn't know her story, and if she didn't still talk like she does and still care about the people, we'd be like, wow, you like really abandoned. You're really from the Bronx. You really actually did have, whatever difficulties in your life. And you really just wear Burberry and have your child in a gated community. And you just don't know what real life is. We know her story. So we respect the rags to riches. That's what this woman, I think, was trying to create, is so that she didn't have to feel guilty about, she was like undoing her white guilt or something. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think there's something to that. Maybe
right.
Go deeper in it.
If she could really believe this, then she could, because her hatred of white people was so crazy. Like, she her beef, like she just called Bob Dylan an old ass irrelevant white man. That's when I got and I'm like, Bob Dylan.
Not Bob. Come on.
That was the whole conversation they were having.
I know, I read it.
He worked with a whole bunch of black artists, like Aretha Franklin have sung his songs and paid tribute to him. And you have the nerve, Jeslo Bambalera, to diss Bob Dylan with your black-hating, self-right-hating ass? Like, oh my God. My thing to her is really just the audacity. Like, how did you think you could do this? Like,
yeah.
I totally think that when it was all said and done, she figured she was just going to hang it up, walk off into the sunset. People wouldn't be that mad at her, and they would understand that she was doing it for a righteous cause and a righteous
Rachel got away pretty good. Rachel got a book deal. Now Rachel's doing hair braiding. Like, black people, if you look at the comments on Rachel's hair braiding stuff, black people showing her love, because we are a loving, accepting people. Even if you know what I mean?
You messed up, lady, but
I wasn't necessarily.
You kind of meant well by it. You just didn't do it respectfully.
I wasn't necessarily mad at Rachel because I felt more bad for her than anything else, and not bad for her as in no, don't punish her. Like no. You should definitely be getting punished because you took those slots away from people who deserve them way more than you did. However, if what you did with your blackness was work your way up to the head of the NAACP chapter, like I'm not, but so I look at you more like, oh, you poor thing. You
went about
wanted,
that wrong.
no, you wanted to be down with us so bad that you just couldn't accept it. Oh, look at you. Oh, man,
and that's when we get. And that's why we have the term ally, like you said. It's like you're an ally. You're not starting for our team. You're not coaching. You know what I mean? Right, but you're helping out here. But don't try and coach and call the shots because we have our team ready.
Right.
You know what? My roommate and I
we're uniting our team. So if you have your team, we have our team. Let's go. If
my roommate now,
we work directly together. You know what I'm saying? If you need to work by yourself, we work over here. As long as we're fighting for the same goal, let's go.
Mm-hmm. And also, we're talking about superstars or people that are attention seekers. So I know I started it 3 times. I was like, my roommate. We were talking about being invited to parties and not trying to steal the shine, because we are like very outgoing and we're like, you know, the first one on the dance floor kind of thing. But if it's someone else's wedding and you do that and you're more memorable than the bride, it's not my fault. I'm just a fun person. But you also, like, I go above and beyond.
You bought the bright red dress. You was twerking.
Right. Like, you were the loudest, the longest, the first. Like, that you don't have to do that. Like, you can add to the party, but literally you have to know when to shift it. Or he's like, hey, listen, white girl over here. Listen, there's some black people that need a voice. That's right. Instead of being like, white girl over here, okay, I'm gonna speak for black people. No, no, it's not it.
which is again, we've come full circle. I think that's why some of these terms, ally, are important, because you have some people who one thing I remember when I get into these conversations with white people who find their way to my page because of a hashtag or whatever, and they want to tell me white privilege isn't real. And they get all upset, start blustering, blowing out the lines, talking to me about how they weren't privileged. They just benefited because their father went to college, and I have to remind them that their father's white too. And you have to chill out. The thing that's keeping me stable in these arguments, I always remember that equality feels like oppression to the privileged. When you have privilege and someone wants equality, your first thought is never elevating them to where you are. It's that you now have to go down to where they are. And the fact that say it again.
People keep all the money for themselves, and they tell the poor white people, like, oh, look, them poor black people want your money. You can't tell the black people, oh, look, them poor Trump supporters, they try to get you on both sides. Democrats too, you know what I mean? They be like, they'll make the black people think that the worst problem in the world is the Trump supporters, who do have their racism, do a thing, but they going through their own struggles. You know what I mean? They might be racist and Trump's, and that's horrible.
Another good one. I had to tell somebody the other day when I went down to the Trump what do you call it? The Trump
rally?
Tower. Yeah, I was at the Trump rally. I went down to
cut tires. That's what I meant.
I went down to Trump Tower, where they have the Black Lives Matter sign in front of it. And of course, I got into this big debate with a bunch of people and a couple black guys, and they rolled over to me talking about, tell me one racist thing Trump has done. And I was like, dude, I'm not getting into that. You already have it in your mind that whatever I'm about to tell you really wasn't that racist and really wasn't that bad. So I'm not going to waste my time with that. He was like, but none of you guys can prove that he's racist. And I stopped everything. And I said, let me put you on to something. I know plenty of Republicans who are not racist, but I don't know any racists who are not Republicans. Every racist I've ever met in my life is a Republican and a Trump supporter. So you need to ask yourself.
There's a different type of racist from the Democrats.
No. I never go into nuance. I don't even talk about the Democrats. But when you start talking to me about why is Trump racist, I was like, I don't even have to call Trump a racist. I just know that the racists think he's a racist. Whatever he's saying is really appealing to them. They hear him talking and they're like, oh, this guy's talking my language.
Basically, if you're white, you're most likely to get raped, beaten, killed by another white person. and he's out here talking about the Mexicans. Like, what about the white people doing the raping? We send them back. It's way more white people doing the raping than white women.
Well, and if we really want to talk about sending people back, then everyone, let's all of us just go back.
Then most of us are gonna have to leave.
Split in half. I'll be like, oh shit.
Right? Split me in two. I don't know where to go.
I think the natives wouldn't be mad at having me stick around. So I probably have like 2 passports.
That's why BIPOC is a thing.
Ghana. I wouldn't mind checking Ghana out in terms of Africa. That might be a place.
Oh, I'm thinking thoughts.
Is it Ghana just got a Chinese governor?
A chief, yeah, chief. Chinese chief. Oh, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I have no idea what the fuck they were carrying this Asian man around on their shoulders.
Money, and Chinese is trying to do business in Africa. They're trying to get America out. They're dealing with Akon, and it's like America better either step up their game and treat the black people better than the Chinese, or they're gonna lose. Like Africans is finally at a point where they could be like, "Yo, you're not just gonna oppress us. If you don't give us this deal, we're going to the Chinese." You know what I mean?
Right. So, but still going outside of the country,
right. That's my problem. Meanwhile, they have all the resources to do everything.
If you one person, right? If you only have one boyfriend, right? One boyfriend, you could have him do whatever, or he could have you do whatever, right? But if you have two, you got to compete. So who's the better boyfriend? Who am I rolling with? Who give me the better business deal?
Baby, I was on the podcast and Casey said I could get more things if I had two boyfriends.
How about Africa just
courting? You're talking about courting.
How about Africa just be single for a while and do some self-examination and take care of themselves? How about Africa have a whole decade of self-care Sundays and just take care of yourself before you date anybody else?
I'm going to talk about it later. I got some more writing, but I got a lot of crazy stuff about what the CIA has been doing in Africa, and it is wild. Because you know my book, CIA in Jamaica. I didn't even study the CIA in Africa. I just been starting like.
Wow. Okay. Those organizations like that scare the hell out of me because they're literally, their motives are so convoluted. It's circular. So it looks like they're doing well. It's kind of like the Bill Gates conversation. It's like he does so many things.
Bill Gates is one of the persons in Africa who's kind of being part of this.
Right. So they do a lot of good things, but then or it seems like they are, but it's for these like 5 steps down the road, ulterior motive.
They got the Colton and the phones. All the Africa and the Congo specifically has something called Colton, which all our phones need. So Apple needs to be up in there. Samsung needs to be up in there. LG, like they all need. So there's a lot of
if Africa was doing for Africa and Africa was bartering these prices, then we could actually have Wakanda in Africa in real time.
It would have been happened, and you would have had a Wakanda with Patrice Lumumba, but he was assassinated by the CIA. So anytime you get a T'Challa, or even, you know what I mean, Hakeem, you know what I mean, Hakeem Joffrey, anytime you get either of those type of dudes, a righteous dude, they'll kill him and they'll try and put in a corrupt dude who they could get more money from or use him to exploit the country.
It's a whole. But Casey, tell people where they can find you so they can go get this information, go get these books, et cetera, et cetera.
In terms of my piece on Jessica Krug, you can go to
just you in general, so they can find everything through you.
Facebook, Casey Gain on Twitter, Casey Gain on Instagram. I got a startup. It's mvgen.com. Any artists out there, you can make a music video with gifts. You just type in keywords. That's mvgen.com. All my videos are on my personal YouTube channel. Lots of Westside Gun, Kanye West, Mankind, Mighty Casey. That's my YouTube channel just for my music. I'm still curating the music because I got the big love for the music. And then the journalism right now is accountera.com.
Okay, good. Just wanted everybody to be able to know where to go to get all this fly-ass information. Yo, Casey, thank you for, I know it was last minute, but thank you for pulling up to have this conversation.
I got my quarantine fro. I had to, just pick out a little bit, look like, it took me like 10 minutes not to look crazy. And I probably still look crazy. It took me 10 minutes.
And I just went full on garden party driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
I just pulled on a bandana.
Ready for over here. I'm looking like,
Casey, we all kind of look like that. In the meantime, in between time, I'm your man, Mr. Mac.
And I'm Crystal Leven.
This has been the M+M+M show, a.k.a. the
show.
May you live as long as you want and never want as long as you live. Do us a favor, though. Go get laid. Peace.